Venus Ferosi here. I want to take the time to talk about quantum leaping. I know that it's a widely spoken about topic, but I really wanted to take this time to talk about the basic ways in which people can quantum leap every day. So I'm going to keep this definition very simple. You know that saying where they say you're always one decision away from living a completely different life? That is literally in action what quantum leaping actually is. So also, you guys should probably check out that quantum theory around observing particles. That is definitely worth looking into. So, long story short, what scientists have found is that particles don't take shape unless they're observed, or based on the ways in which they are observed, they will become visible. Their behaviors change depending on whether or not they're being observed. So, this is something that is very key because what I find is if everything already exists, it comes into a materialized state, or it appears to be materialized the minute it's observed. Like, say, for example, you know that saying, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard this quote before where they said, if a tree falls in the rainforest and no one's around to see or hear it, does it actually exist? Did it actually fall? Now, it's very possible that it did, but we don't know. We literally do not know besides what was just stated. But the point I'm making out here is things almost don't exist unless they are observed. Let's think about your classic example of you lost something and can't find it. Or sometimes I think what's so funny is people would be holding the thing that they're looking for. You ever see that? That is a perfect way of things just out of sight, out of mind, things just not being visible, things actually not existing unless you're able to observe it, right? So I find that the whole idea of manifesting, quantum leaping, shifting timelines, living a completely different reality is often a result of observing a completely different reality. It's being able to look at your current timeline, your current life, your current circumstances, and have a different outlook, right? Also, and when I say a different outlook, we're also talking different perspective. So many times people don't realize like that change you're seeking is often starts here. And it starting here comes with having a different outlook or perspective to go off of, right? Being able to view yourself differently, being able to view your life differently. Also, too, what I find is another great way to illustrate the idea of quantum leaping is literally taking a leap of faith. So many people will get up and live a completely different life as a result of choosing to get up and leave their town, leave their community, leave a people, place, or thing. I feel like that is also by definition a decision around living a completely different life. So many people that are famous today or well off or well known took a major risk, but they didn't know at the time that the risk was basically going to be the catalyst to them living a completely different life. But also with them taking a leap of faith, I think that intuitively they felt that things would be better. They just didn't know how. And even with people taking a leap of faith, a lot of the times they don't have a how. They don't have a how. And the only way you're ever really going to get a how is if you either know someone that already has the instructions, but most people don't have the guide or the instructions to where you're trying to go. And if they do, they have somewhat of a blueprint, but for your own journey, that blueprint is always going to be up for is always going to be determined, because the answers of the journey that you're seeking now, you have to live through them. Your journey is as unique as your DNA. So to truly get the guidance you're looking for, it comes with you going internal. It's comes with you listening to God. It comes with you listening to the universe. It comes with you trusting your instincts, listening to the wind, taking a risk. It's developing the bandwidth for going through the process no matter what. Like, life is never going to be quite easy, but I do find that when you're very well aligned and doing things, in a way that aligns with you, you'll find that there is a level of ease. there is a level of ease. And sometimes I find that the uneasiness comes as a result of having fear. It comes as a result of just not having the bandwidth to go through the process. Sometimes it comes from as a result of a person not realizing how much resilience you need, how much vulnerability goes into actually taking the risk, riding the risk, especially even having the strength and the energy for being stretched, right? We're talking about growing pains. Quantum leaping also means expanding, living a completely different life, being catapulted into a completely different reality, and living in an environment in a way that you possibly couldn't have imagined, but here you are. So that in itself, you're not going to have answers to, you're not going to have a guide to. All you're going to have is what you know thus far. And there's always going to be a lot that you don't know that you don't know. So I find like the only way to truly go through this is to almost trust yourself. You can seek guidance. Like say, for example, I work with like some of my coaching clients. For me, my specialty is change, transformation. And even for myself, change tends to be a trigger, but it's something that I often embrace because I know on the other end of that, I'm going to live a completely different life. Everything I've ever wanted always came from taking a risk, taking a leap of faith, being unwavering when it came to my faith. It's thinking like no matter what, I trust myself to land on my feet. I trust that the universe is conspiring to give me the thing that I want. I trust that the universe knows my intent. I trust that the universe will provide in knowing my intentions, right? I trust that the universe understands my energy and my heart's desires and my purpose, that it knows that I'm going to always make myself available for it to work through me and manifest through me, right? So I find that that is something that when you fully understand that, there is less fear that comes up, right? So whenever I deal with clients, as like a coach, by the way, guys, I'm a lifestyle coach, or one can say life coach. Either way, I live this lifestyle. And for me personally, I can get up and choose how I want to live or make my money at any given day, at any given point. So a part of the way in which I tend to help people is truly understanding, like, what is it that you want? Because so many of us will see things, right? And we'll be trying to manifest or quantum leap into a reality that looks like that. And we don't realize like the manifestation isn't really unfolding because that thing you're seeking might not even be for you or even be in the way in which you're trying to materialize it, right? What if someone can be trying to quantum leap or manifest a reality where they're very high performing, they're making a lot of money, but all they know is the people that they're used to seeing making a lot of money is getting up at 4, 6 o'clock in the morning. Usually that's not for everyone. Like say, for example, Beyonce, she don't sleep, but when she does, she stays up until like 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, and she'll wake up like around 10 o'clock, 11. There are some people that set their own schedule, right? Success comes from knowing you. Quantum leaping is a form of success. Manifesting is a form of success. What that success is, it's just a materialization. It's just a materialization of your energy. It's just a manifestation of you being self-actualized. It's being so aligned with who you are, what your purpose is, and being so connected to the universe that it's very easy for you to get your own downloads. It's very easy for you to get up and follow the path that's meant for you. It's being so in tuned and so soul-centered that you just trust that things will be working out, right? You're just going through the process to see how things are going to go. You trust like whatever you're doing, eventually it may amount to something. But sometimes people will wonder, why is this something I'm trying to manifest doesn't happen for me? And sometimes it's really because the thing that you're trying to manifest is not for you. You're looking at someone else's reality and trying to materialize it in that way, and oftentimes manifestation sometimes will need to be very specific, but sometimes people manifest when they're not being so specific, Like there's something about that. And let me give you a little example, right? I think about never judge a book by its cover, but also the person that you're seeking might not look the way in which you anticipate. You don't know what your future partner may look like. Or some people do. Sometimes people dream of their partners, but sometimes you don't know what your partner may look like. So if you're trying to manifest someone that looks a particular skin color or dress a certain way or whatever have you can possibly delay the process, because what if you want a particular energy, but the energy does not come in that particular box or that frame? So you could be delaying your manifestation or the materialization of what you want, your heart's desire, because you're trying to get it in a particular format, but you don't realize that the energy you're seeking don't come in that font. It don't come in that format. So it's almost like, and mind you, sometimes you have to trust the universe to give you what they want, because while you're trying to manifest something, it could be manifesting something bigger and better for you, right? The whole quantum leaping thing is seeing it as like you're time traveling. Sometimes quantum leaping is like seeing your reality like I'm about to time travel. And when you time travel, you can't, at least in the movies, like you can't really take your clothes. Most times you can't take your clothes, you can't take anything with you. You don't even know what your reality is going to look like in real time until you actually get there, right? And I want you to think about that, because you can be preparing to go somewhere, right? You can be preparing to be in a particular place, be positioned a particular way, just live a certain life, but you don't realize that the version of you in that reality might not have any of these things. You don't know because you are not in that future reality, you have not leaped into that quantum reality. You don't know how you're going to look. You don't know if you have any of these things. You don't know what version of you actually exists in that timeline. All you are is you in this time, trying to be prepared and conscious of where you need to be. So sometimes just releasing the baggage, putting things down, and also just being open to whatever. It's like you're creating space for the new reality to create circumstances and an infrastructure that best supports your desires or the path you're supposed to be on. So I find like quantum leaping is truly just being thrusted into a whole nother reality where mathematically it almost makes no sense that the version of you in this reality is living a completely different life than you were in a previous reality. And let me give you an example of this, so off topic. Think about the people that were really overweight and then they end up losing weight. I feel like those people also experience quantum leaping, but in like bodily form. We think about the people that also may have overnight success. It is living a completely different life overnight. Or we think about the people that win the lotto. It's going from having no money to having all the financial freedom. Like imagine being thrusted or thwarted into a reality where you literally have nothing to worry about. It's almost like all your problems and your entire nervous system was wired to have a particular feeling or experience or live a particular life, because that was your previous reality. But imagine going to another reality where none of that exists. So I bring that up because I find like another good example to explain what quantum leaping is like, right? Like the manifestation of it, like the end result of it kind of also reminds me of the people who quantum leap even in being in their body. It's the people that lose weight. It's the people that live a completely different life as a result of doing little things every day that amount to this drastic change overnight, and the drastic change would be a completely different reality. Or think about the women that end up leaving a partner, or the men that leave a partner, and all of a sudden they live a completely different life. Whether they lose weight, they start to look better, they're fine, all of a sudden they get a new job. Think about how your reality sometimes may even open up as a result of making one decision. It could be going to another place, you choosing to play the lotto, and all of a sudden you win. Now, damn, look at that. Or we think about the people that walk away from an abusive relationship, and all of a sudden they are living a completely different life because now they're more energetically available to receive. You know, even the people that may even lose a job or leave a job, and all of a sudden they end up in another role, better pay, and a higher position. You know, there's something about that. Like, I always see those things as a classic example of quantum leaping, because it's just a whole nother reality. Your reality, it's basically living in a whole different life where the particles are all set up differently. You are also in real time observing things that you were not able to observe before. Maybe it was there, but you were never able to see it. So, yeah, there's that. What's coming up for you guys? What are your thoughts around this? Give me some examples of how you basically quantum leaped. I'm really interested in seeing how, you guys are doing it. For me, I feel like I tend to quantum leap through location. That's one of my favorite ways to manifest or live a completely different reality. Also, some people like to change their bodies. I feel like that's one thing I like to also use to manifest a completely different reality. I do like to change my looks up a bit. Sometimes I'll gain weight, sometimes I'll lose weight, sometimes I'll look more fit, sometimes I'll look more robust. Wherever I'm at in life, I decide first how I want to live, and then I design a body in my mind that will be more suitable to it. Or sometimes I just think about the life I want to live, and then I live it, and I trust that the universe will provide the body that best aligns with it. And if for whatever the reason I'm uncomfortable or experiencing, discomfort in the body, I just make the change. But I give myself grace. I see it as everything serves a purpose, because at the end of the day, we're just a soul living a human experience. So if I'm primarily a soul, I don't beat up the body too much, because it's just like a vehicle. So either way, what are your thoughts? Let me know. I want to hear some of you guys' story. And yeah, thank you for coming. Mwah.